Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I am Sinema77, horror and cult film lover. And yeah, this movie just came out not too long ago, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu, aka Day of the Woman, Deja Vu. Now, here's the thing though, okay, real quick. What you're going to find out about this movie is actually a direct sequel to the original I Spit on Your Grave from 1978, aka Day of the Woman, and it has if I'm just saying if all you know about I Spit on Your Grave is the remake trilogy, then yeah, this is going to kind of really throw you off because this movie here has absolutely no connection to the movies here. So, but being horror fans, I'm pretty sure I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. So, anyway, so the movie is written and directed by Meir Zarchi, who he created the original film, and this is meant to be a follow up to the original film, kind of kind of following a little bit of that trend where now instead of doing remakes, they want to do these direct sequels to the original movie, like they did last year with Halloween. Where Halloween was supposed to be the official sequel to John Carpenter's Halloween, and like in 2013 when like Texas Chainsaw 3D was meant to be the direct sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff like that. This pretty much does it. It bypasses the remakes and the sequels and stuff like that, and goes to be the official sequel to the original movie. Now, this movie's difficult to talk about. One thing, if you look up this movie, and I mean, I've already reviewed this movie on my channel, and I went, kind of pretty in depth on it on my channel. But one thing you're going to find out about this movie is if you look this movie up, you look up reviews for this movie. This movie gets a lot of hate, and it's not hard to see where it comes from, and I'll explain. Okay, the movie is, like I said, it's a sequel to the original one. I've said that like 20 times already. But anyway, though, okay, it's decades later. Now we have Camille Keaton, who played in Jennifer Hills in the original movie. She returns, and she plays her character again. Now, what we find out is that Jennifer Hills, after the events of the original movie, she has, she turned herself in. She went to court. She was acquitted of all charges, things like that. And then she turned around and she wrote a book about her ordeal and everything and what she went through and stuff like that. Well, we find out that in the small town where, sorry, where the events of the original movie took place, there are a lot of the relatives of, the families that are not very happy about this. And you have Becky, who is Johnny's wife from the original film. You have a man named Herman, who is the father of Matthew, who is the mentally handicapped man in the original movie. You have Kevin, who I believe is supposed to be the nephew, I think, of Stanley. And then you have Scott, who's supposed to be like the cousin of Andy from the original movie. And they kind of got like, they kind of like either in terms of their dress or whatever, if you've seen the original movie, like Scott, it's easy to see that he's related to Andy because he's wearing suspenders, because in the original movie, Andy wore suspenders. Or in the case of Becky, yeah, we know that she's Johnny's wife because she wears that green hat that he was always wearing. The one that Joe Bob Briggs kept going on and on about in the commentary and stuff. So anyway, so they're not very happy about the fact that Jennifer Hills, even though she went to court, she was dismissed of all charges. They think that she should pay for what she's done. Well, one day, Jennifer and her daughter Christy, playing by Jamie Bernadette here, they're having lunch and they're leaving, and they end up being accosted by Scott and Kevin, and they're taken back to the small town. Well, at first it's a mistake that Christy was even abducted, because they're like, she's an innocent, she's got nothing to do with this, but she's begging and pleading for the life of her mother and everything else. So they're all like, get her out of here, take her back home, and all this stuff. Our beef is with Jennifer; it's got nothing to do with her. So, but Christy, we find out she's just as smart and clever, and that she's as you know. She's got a little bit of a violent streak in her too, just like her mother has. And instead of just being taken back home. She wants to go and she wants to help her mother. So the two of them are going to try to fight off the relatives of these, people from the original movie. Okay. I'm sorry, my throat's dry. I went more in depth on the original movie on my channel, but here I don't really want to give away anything. But this movie, okay, it's kind of like I don't really usually do this, but this movie I kind of feel like I need to break it into pros and cons. Okay, the pros of the movie. Okay, number one, the two leading ladies, Jesus, Jamie Bernadette and Camille Keaton. They deliver fantastic roles. They both do really great work. I have nothing but praise for their performances in this movie. Jamie Bernadette here. I mean, when you're doing these kind of rape revenge movies and stuff like that, I mean, this stuff is not easy. And it takes an actress with some real steel, to play that kind of a role. And I mean, we saw Camille Keaton at it. We saw how brave and tough that acting job had to be. And Jamie Bernadette here, she definitely steps up and she takes up the mantle and she does a good job. There's actually like one I'm not gonna give too much away, but there's actually like a scene in a graveyard where she kind of gives this kind of like monologue or this speech and everything, and it's just the way she delivers it is perfect. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better performance from an actress. Just the way she handles her, she doesn't go over the top, she doesn't underplay it. She shows that right amount of emotion and things like that. So yeah, Jamie Bernadette and Camille Keaton, they're great, and they also show really, they have a genuine bond with each other, and I think it really works in terms of this movie. So that's one of the pros on this movie. A second pro of the movie is the cinematography. One thing, and even in the original movie, I think people have mentioned that too, is that Meir Zarchi, he has good taste in cinematographers. These movies are beautifully shot. Whereas, okay, like when you go look at the original, the remake trilogy, all these movies are kind of like devoid of color and they're kind of anemic looking and stuff like that. Not these. These movies here, there's a lot of bright colors. It's vibrant. A lot of stuff takes place during the day, but I mean, these movies look fantastic. There's actually a scene at night in the graveyard with Becky and Herman and Andy or not Andy, but Scott and Kevin. There's a scene where they're doing this kind of ritual in a graveyard at night. You see like the orange in the sky, and the way it's filmed is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like, and then the daytime scenes. The colors are so bright and colorful and vibrant and stuff. And I will say that like Meir Zarchi picks good cinematographers to film his movies. Unfortunately, now that's pretty much about it in terms of pros. Now we got to get into the cons. Okay, one con here is, okay, remember how back when Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D came out in 2013, and remember how one thing that everybody just really got furious about was the timeline, and they kind of screwed stuff up according to the timeline? They do something similar with this movie because they don't really give you an exact timeline. We just know that it's decades later. But, going on the fact that it's supposed to be 40 years from the original movie, um, sorry. But, yeah, so it's kind of like, Christy here, you can see that Jamie Bernadette, she's lovely and young and gorgeous and stuff like that. Technically in the timeline, she should be more like a woman, kind of a middle-aged woman, a woman in her 40s. Camille Keaton still looks great. She looks fantastic, okay, but like at the same time though too, you've got Herman, who is supposed to be Matthew's father, and then we reveal that there's a character in the movie that's supposed to be Matthew's grandmother, and they don't look like they should. I mean, it's all like you picture like somebody who's going to be like Matthew's father. You're thinking of like an old guy should look like Uncle Jesse from Dukes of Hazzard or something. No, this guy looks awful damn young. To be Matthew's father, and the grandmother, she doesn't look particularly very old herself. So you're kind of wondering, like, did the people in this small town, did they somehow find the fountain of youth or something like that? Because they seem like they age pretty well in this town. But yeah, and then there's like just stuff that just doesn't really coincide with all that sort of thing. But yeah, the timeline, it's like if you were annoyed at the timeline in Texas Chainsaw 3D, yeah, this is going to bug you in this movie as well. You're going to notice that right away, stuff like that. Um, the second thing that bothered me about the movie the is the acting of the villains. These four now, I mean, Maria Olsen, who plays Becky, she has a couple of good moments in here. I will give her that. But oh my god, the other guys who do they bring overacting to a brand new. I mean, they take overacting into Jedi level. I mean, their overacting is so bad. They drive you nuts with how badly they're overacting and stuff. And oh my god, they just. I mean, the guy who's supposed to be related to Stanley. I mean, this guy's as much over. If you thought people overacted in this movie, like if you're sitting there, oh, the guy who played Matthew, he kind of overacts a bit. You're going to appreciate his performance after you see the acting of the people in this movie, because I mean, you're going to think the guy who played Matthew in this movie gave a very fine tuned, very fine performance and everything compared to this. Oh God, the overacting is. Ugh. And the guy who plays Kevin, I mean, this guy is just. I mean, what's that old joke? This guy could overact a fart. I think I've said that in my other review too. But oh man, oh man. I mean, it's just you're just hurry up and wanting these characters to die just so you can stop because they're giving you a headache with just how much they're overacting and how much they're overdoing their performances. Like I said, Maria Olsen, who played Becky, she has a couple of moments where she's actually really good. But even she's got some moments too. You're kind of like, tone it down, please. Oh my lord. And so yeah, so that is a problem here. That's definitely a con. Is the acting by the actors, who play the killer or the rapists and the killers and stuff like that. And finally, the probably the biggest um, con of all, as far as this movie is concerned, is the length of the movie. This movie is 148 minutes long, so that's about 2.5 hours long. This movie really, really, really does not need to be 2.5 hours long. This is, I mean, I know people like even Joe Bob Briggs, commented on his commentary of the original movies, like Meir Zarchi really could have cut some stuff down, could have really toned this down. The movie didn't need the running time that it had. It could have been tightened a little bit shorter and stuff like that. This could have been tightened a lot. I mean, my God, there are like whole sequences of scenes in this movie that you're like, seriously, they could have just cut that completely out of the movie and it would not have impacted the film at all. I mean, there's literally like a scene in the movie where it almost stops dead because they're sitting there like you got Kevin and Becky and Scott. They're all standing around talking about, oh, it's revealed that Kevin knows flowers and he can talk about all the flowers in the county. He's like, who cares? You know, there's just so much of that going on, and like there's so much of the just too much of the slow pacing and stuff, and sequences. You're sitting there like this really could have been trimmed down. I'm not kidding. I'm sorry to say, but you watch this movie, you're that's a real challenge. Like try watching this movie and not hitting that forward button on your remote. It's going to be difficult. I promise you that. But yeah, this movie just did not need a 2.5 hour running time, and there are times like you just feel like when it feels like it's getting ready to reach the climax, it kind of just feels like it's going on and on and on and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's overall, it's I don't know. I mean, like I said, you look this movie up on channels. This movie gets a ton of hate, and there are people out there who think this is honestly one of the worst movies that's been made in years. And I find this movie kind of, like I said, I see some silver lining in it, but I can kind of see where a lot of the criticism comes from. But I would say though, okay, if you're a fan of these I Spit on Your Grave movies, then yeah, I really don't think this movie is going to impress you at all. If you are a fan of the original movie and you're curious about this, I say go ahead and give it a watch because I mean, yeah, I mean it is part of this movie and stuff, but and it's from the same creators of the original film and stuff. But it's beautifully filmed. I would say, for the Jamie Bernadette and Camille Keaton alone, it's worth watching it for them. But yeah, just be warned. This movie's it's got some issues to it, so that's really about all I can say about it. So yeah, go ahead and like I said, if you're a fan, go ahead and check it out, but do so at your own risk. You know, just be warned. You're going to be sitting on your butt for a while. This movie's a butt tester, and like I said, it's like you might want to take some. You might want to take some aspirin before you watch it, because once those villains start acting and stuff, you're probably going to need it for the headache you're going to have. But anyway, that's about it. I'm sorry if this review wasn't as well as I hoped it turned out to be, but that's it. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Body Bags channel. We do different reviews, reviewer for every day of the week. I'm the Saturday reviewer. And yeah, we got great guys doing all great stuff. And, we do theme weeks and everything else. It's a lot of fun. So please come back again. So that's it for Body Bags. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover. And I'll talk to you later. Enjoy the rest of the week. Bye-bye.